Hi, hello, and welcome to the VR Untethered podcast, your weekly source of VR Untethered podcast and stuff that has to do with being untethered mentally. That's that, Josh. Like and subscribe.
Josh, you're going to have to calm down a little. People are really going to jump out of their seats now, so relax. Okay.
So, anyways, we are here with more weekly stuff for you. We have some new releases, we have some highlights, we have an upcoming title, we have some news, both good, bad, and ugly. So,
Okay. Just like the movie?
yeah. Well, with no further ado, let's start with Brad's highlights of the week.
Brad's highlights of the week are collecting video games. God, did I just call them video games? Man,
Well, they are
bad. I know, but I've never referred to them that way before. I've always been using the word experience.
Well, an experience is one of those ones that not very interactive, like a quill thing. That's an experience. A game is something that's interactive and you have agency.
That's true to a degree. However, you can have an experience where you have agency as well.
Well, in that case, Fortnite is a pancake experience.
That is true.
If you're going to use that definition for the word, then it kind of loses meaning because everything's an experience.
Exactly, but it is sort of but we're talking to other VR people, so we don't have to. But I'm used to talking to non-VR people over the last few weeks, I guess. So to them, trying to describe VR is impossible, other than putting you in a video game. That's the only way that they can start to.
Well, yeah, that's what it is.
Yes, but I haven't thought of it as being in a video game for quite a while. I think of just actually entering VR.
You're also using non-standard nomenclature. Most of the people in the VR industry refer to VR experience. So that means the things that are the short movies, like the Key, where there was a little bit of interactivity, but it didn't really affect anything.
Right.
Stuff of that nature, because that's a VR experience. Where a VR game is a video game.
Okay.
But in VR.
Right. Okay, so I wasn't wrong. So it took all this time to get back to, okay, it was a video game. But anyway, my highlight this week was buying Phantom Covert Ops. My low light this week was trying to find a place where I would be comfortable playing for a long period of time.
Well, it looks like where you are right now would be a good place for that. For Phantom.
Well, yeah, but I don't have the room to actually paddle if I have this here, so I have to.
If you have what there?
The arm of my sofa.
Well, why are you holding your arm like that? It should be out like that.
Like this?
Yeah, because you don't paddle here. You paddle out here.
Well, I'm used to the actual movement.
But when you are paddling a kayak, okay, I have arms on my chair also.
Mm-hmm.
So right here. Okay.
Okay.
I am resting my elbow on it right now.
Right.
I could play the Phantom in this because I'm not going as I row. I'm not rowing up here at my head level, and I'm not rowing out here directly in line with my body. I am rowing like I am in an actual kayak, which is out here, So unless your arm of the couch extends to this far in front of you, it shouldn't be a problem.
Okay. I'll
Yeah,
give that a shot then.
you know, because
'Cause-
you're out here and you don't have to go like that big emotion.
right.
You don't in real life, and you don't in the game either. So
You've never used a kayak in Florida, have you?
I've used the kayak, and not in in Florida, but you have to keep in mind in the game you're in Russia. You're not in Florida.
Ah, there you go. That's the whole difference. No, seriously, in Florida, the water is like jello. So there is
I
no
know.
slight movement. You're like, to get any
Yes,
movement.
well, in most places where the kayak is not semi-solid water.
See, I have to reacquaint myself with that too. Being in Florida for so long has warped my perception of things. So bear
Yeah.
with me. Video games and water.
Mm.
Um, but basically, I've been going through the collection and trying to pick up games. I'm about to go on a trip, so where the internet can be iffy.
Yeah.
So a lot of single player games that I'm trying to pick up in case my Wi-Fi sort of goes kaplooey. So any suggestions anybody has for something I don't already own, which is might as well run a lotto here because I think there might be three I don't own, but we'll take suggestions.
Well, I would say take a look at SideQuest, and there's a lot of good single player games on there too, or single player experiences.
Yes, I've made arrangements to bring down my cable and have a computer down there that I could side quest. It
Yeah,
looks like there's some great stuff coming to side quest over the last
yeah,
month, really.
yeah, yeah. I downloaded one yesterday that I haven't had a chance to try yet. That I'm looking forward to. Unfortunately, I forget what it is called right now, so I'm gonna have to look that up.
Well, I know they keep coming out with a million different, let's go chopping looks good. I like that one.
um, that's not there yet. I don't think.
I know, but that's just it. Is I'm really looking forward to having them put side quest directly onto the Quest, so you could just do the wireless loading.
Right. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure how that's going to work, but uh, I am looking forward to finding out as well. So,
Yeah, it would be
I know
nice.
it should make it a lot easier, and it should make a lot more people feel safe about it, because I know a lot of people have the attitude that you've had, which is, I don't know how kosher this is,
Ex- Exactly,
even
exactly.
though it's perfectly legal, and all these the games are authorized to be on SideQuest. SideQuest is just making it a convenient way to sideload, which is a feature provided by the platform and by Oculus.
Right.
Yeah.
I
So
know, but it did end up turning into the alternate store unofficially, and so
kind
it
of.
really
It's got a few paid the titles, but SideQuest is not hosting those or receiving money from them.
right. No, no,
So it's not a store. It's a directory.
right.
And the ones that are paid are mostly on itch. Um, and the developers have the option of saying we'd like money for it, or you can have it for free.
Yeah.
But if you buy it there, and then then you can install it with SideQuest. So
Right. Well, my thing initially with them was always the fact that they could get cut off with an Oculus firmware upgrade at any given point.
well, technically, any game that's on Oculus could get cut
Right.
off and deleted at any time too. That
No, no, I understand, but SideQuest wasn't benefiting Facebook or Oculus on the
um,
face of it at the beginning.
well,
Obviously now they will.
the and I still maintain I don't think they were in any danger. They were not a threat. They were a complementary thing, not a threat.
Well,
So
obviously they've made their
Yes,
peace with each
we
other.
continue to disagree on that, I am sure.
No, no, I don't see them as a threat because now Oculus has taken them on board and made them
Well,
official.
Oculus had already said they were okay with it, and said that what they were doing before too. So, anyways, um, anything else in your highlights?
Highlights.
Or
Well,
like,
yeah, actually, I'm enjoying Trover more than I thought I would. It really is a much better game than you would think.
right,
But you really have to like that kind of humor
right,
because otherwise there's no reason to play it. It's not,
right,
although I will say, as one person did say, it is sort of Moss-like in the way that you're playing a third-person character, but you're
right,
still your own person, and
right,
the interactions are there. So
right,
in that respect, it gave me it gave me a feeling that I got basically from Moss as well. You know, that I was involved with my character in
right,
going through this journey. So that
right,
was kind of cool. That
right.
definitely
Yeah,
was. I
just
just don't know if I would like it at
you
all,
are
though.
involved with the foul-mouthed character.
Well, you could turn off his foul mouth to a degree, but it's not nearly as much fun. If you're going to pay that kind of money, you might as well listen to him rant and rave in full, glorious
Well,
foul language.
if that is your cup of tea,
Correct.
and it's not my cup of tea, although I do like the absurdist style of humor and whatnot, and surrealism. I don't care for the uh, crudity, except in small doses.
Oh yeah, no, the dosages are not small. That if anybody's played Accounting Plus, you'll understand that there is no space in between crudité.
Right.
So,
So, anyways,
your
in
highlights?
that case, let's move on to my highlights, which is everything. Um, let's see. I played a little bit of Virtual Battlegrounds, Rec Room. Still working on the class in there. Now our current assignment in there is to make an escape room that is ideally tied in to the hangout room that we made last week. So, like, we go to the hangout room, and then there's a door that leads into the the escape room.
That's kind of
So,
cool.
and it has to be puzzles and whatnot. So we're working on that. And of course, I completed it, Phantom Covert Ops.
I was reading that.
And I'm not going to spoil anything for you.
Thank you. I know there are logs I have to look out for. That one sort of sneaked into the conversation, but other
Well,
than
that
that,
yeah, that's kind
thank
of
you.
the standard in a lot of this type of game, so it's not really a spoiler.
No, no, you guys have been great with putting the black blocks over
Yeah,
any spoilers on Discord, so I appreciate that. But you
yeah.
all really took to it right away. I mean, I couldn't believe it. I downloaded it, and 2 days later, everybody was done playing. It was like, okay, gotta be
Well,
quick.
yeah. It it varies in length depending on how good you are at playing it and how immersed you are in the. Oh, I gotta go slow and be careful, but like it took me an hour on mission one. It took Michael like 40 minutes. It took me half an hour on mission two.
Right.
Mission three took me longer again. Mission four, they're all various lengths. I was watching a Wolf in VR do his narrated playthroughs on YouTube.
Hmm.
He does it kind of like he is um, is role playing it, you know.
Gotcha.
Um, and mission 7, which is the last mission in the game, it took me like 16 minutes. It took him close to a half an hour because he was milking it, and he was going down every nook and cranny trying to find every secret and whatnot. So,
Right. Well, I would imagine that's part of the game.
well, yeah, yeah. So it all depends. If you're extremely mission focused, you're going to miss some of the secrets, and the playtime is going to be a little bit shorter for you. But if you're going after every possible secret, then it's going to extend the playtime. And I tend to get caught up in the story and just to focus on the story, and so I do miss some of the secrets.
Yeah, I guess it depends on the game. On some games, I'm totally mission focused, and who cares about this other stuff? And then
Right.
on other games, like you're saying, I want to peek into every corner and take my
Right.
time looking around and seeing.
Right.
And
Right.
this game seems like the kind of game I want to get into. At first, I thought I'd want to play the whole thing through, but in reading it, it seems like a mission at a time is pretty.
Well, yeah. I mean, it works so perfectly because it doesn't go right into the next mission. It shows you your stats and your score for the level and whatnot, and anything that you unlocked or whatever, and then you have the option of quit or continue. So, it gives you a chance. Hey, here's a good point for a break. Do you want to take a break?
Yeah, that's
So,
what I'm saying. So that's perfect. Trover, I really would have liked to have played the whole thing through, but it
right,
gets a little overwhelming. You need to just relax a little, you
right.
know.
Now, the only complaint, as a word, that I would have with it is I wish there were one more boss battle in there. There's really only two boss battles, and I would have liked to have a third one.
Gotcha.
But
Well, maybe that's room for the sequel.
yeah. So, anyways, I also picked up Skyrim VR and Overload um, over on Steam. Overload is basically the modern version of Descent, and it's a pancake game, and it's got the VR version. The VR version you have to play with a gamepad or the mouse and keyboard.
That's weird.
Yes, a little bit, but um, since I'm using virtual desktop, the controllers are able to be emulated as a gamepad. So the virtual desktop can send the input from this over as though it's a gamepad.
Okay,
So
that's
yeah,
great.
that works. I also have Bluetooth Asus, and I always forget what it was called, but the Android TV box is the Asus Android TV Nexus or whatever. I have the gamepad that was associated with that, and it's paired to my Quest, and that passes straight through as a gamepad to Shadow
Oh,
when I'm
very
using
cool.
virtual desktop. So I have an actual gamepad I can use as well. So
I am so envious of you having Shadow. Even though I have a PC VR, it doesn't travel well, and it has such small SSDs comparing now to when I purchased them. You know,
right.
back then, 256 gig SSD was like, whoa, you know, or
Well, I always went above what everybody thought was
well, me too. I mean,
the
I have
optimum.
512 and I have,
I remember way back when I got my very first computer in the 90s, and I wanted 32 on the RAM, and they're like, "Why do you need that much RAM? 16 is plenty."
I assume you were working with a PC at the time?
Well, I've never had a Mac. No.
Okay, yeah,
So it's
I was
always
going to say.
PC.
Right. See, the thing about the Mac, which I'll just do really quickly, was that it always had the level, well, not always, but it had the level 3 cache, which really sped you up. It was a whole different architecture at one point. So yes, RAM at that point, you didn't need quite as much, but in a Windows machine, you always needed 4 times the amount of recommended RAM to just
Well,
make
yeah,
that thing go.
yeah. So, anyways, and have you really been enjoying Overload so far? It's not a game you would enjoy, I don't think.
No, being prone to
Because
motion sickness.
yes, this is your ship. You can go this way, this way, and rotate any orientation.
Yeah.
So it's complete 6 degrees of freedom. But descent has always been that way. That kind of descent's claim to fame was it was a 6 stop game, at the very beginning.
Right.
So
Yeah, you're right. In VR, though, that would kill me. That would kill me for sure.
well, I streamed it on my Facebook gaming page, Silverfire VR Gaming, I think it is, or I forget now.
You're gonna have to
Forget my
send
own
me to
gaming
that.
page name.
I was gonna
Man.
say that's real good marketing there.
No, well, I think it's Silverfire VR Gaming.
Oh, speaking of highlights of the week, how are things working out with you in King Spray? You still using that, or?
That had been mostly gotten from my wife, honestly. Um, that was uh, I've used it a little bit, obviously, because my uh, Facebook uh, gaming page logo was was made with that.
That's what made me think of it.
Um, but yeah, I haven't used it as much as I would really have liked to, but I've been wanting my wife to be using it. So when the new Quest comes in, I'm probably gonna have to buy it again for her. So.
Right. That's the one thing that really does, at this point, I can't complain that there are too many games because that would be crazy. But if you're going to pursue the art or
Yep.
the sport or the
Silverfire VR Gaming, I would like. Okay.
Silver VR Gaming on Facebook,
No, Silverfire VR Gaming. All one word.
or VR Gaming.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
anyways, you were saying?
Nothing important. Oh, King Spray. I was just saying that as far as the games go itself at this point, because they're not just games, I find when I try and do artwork, um, everything becomes almost exclusive because if you really want to delve into any of these full blast, they are now getting to the point where like Echo Arena takes a lot of time to become very good at it.
Oh, yeah.
All of these are now becoming way past what was ever a video game, and I guess that goes back to the very beginning too, in the sense that you can spend literally all your time now in some of these apps to the exclusion of everything else. So it almost becomes anti-gaming console when you find something like an art program or a sports program that you want to start dedicating your time to.
Right, maybe. Um, yeah, so it depends on what you want to do. Any of them can to take up all your time. I personally don't want it to be I got one game on it and that's all I ever do is that one thing, because that's kind of an expensive thing for just one thing to be using it for.
Well, exactly.
Um, anyways, I was also going to talk briefly about Skyrim. So I've been doing that also. I streamed a little bit of that on my Facebook gaming page also, Silver Fire VR Gaming.
One word.
And it's a really beautiful game also. So both of them are gorgeous. Overload seemed to work a lot better with Shadow and Virtual Desktop. The Skyrim tends to get the fuzzy graphics on the Quest a little bit, but it's still perfectly sharp on the PC, obviously. And I believe that there's probably something I can do with mods or whatever to alleviate that. I just haven't looked into it yet. So
Right.
I also picked up, because I've been wanting to, Hexa Infinite Instrument, and I went to try that out last night, and I found that it appears to be unusable via Virtual Desktop and Shadow, in that it opens just fine, but then I'm presented with an error screen that's like right here. I mean, literally that far from my face.
Right.
And I don't have any controllers. I can't click on anything to dismiss the error. And I don't know if it's just because I need to do a reboot of the system or what. So if I close it down, I'm going to try it again later.
Right.
But if I can't get it working, then it's going to have to be a refund, unfortunately, even though it's one I've been wanting for a long while. It's a music creation app that is designed with VR in mind to begin with. So it's using things that you absolutely cannot do in reality, and you basically make your own instrument to set up out of the component pieces, and you can just make it's like a bar, and you make a sound when you go through, and you make a sound when you come back up.
Right.
So so if you want to do a like on the marimba, go instead of having to go two hands, you just go up and down through it.
Right, that's
or
great.
If you have a row of them and you want to hit like here, here, and here, you don't have to go. You can go through, up, through. It's
Nice.
like making a sine wave.
Right.
So it's got a lot of interactions that work in VR and would never work in reality. But it's not working for me right now. And I also picked up Iron Wolf VR on Steam. It's still early access, but it's a submarine simulator game, and I've been having an idea in the back of my mind for a while that a submarine game on the Quest might be a good idea, and so I was like, well, this is at a good price right now, and really, if I'm going to be serious about this, I should look at what other people have already done and research. So,
Right.
And finally, moving on to new releases, we have Shooty Skies.
Yes, and moving away from new releases. Now, Shooty Skies, we talked about this a little before the show. I don't see the attraction. Josh does see the attraction.
Well, I can see the attraction to certain people. It's not one that I'm especially interested in, but it's the same basic kind of mechanic that that other successful games have.
Well, I guess the most successful game they compare it to is Space Pirate Trainer, and I don't see it. I haven't played it, so I can't say. But from the trailer, I just don't see it being anything at all like Space Pirate Trainer.
Well,
other than maybe the mechanic.
Yeah, it's not a Space Pirate Trainer. No, it's It's like a shooter game. You have, instead of a gun, you have an airplane here, and you're shooting from the airplane, and you have to avoid obstacles that are coming at you because there are missiles or whatever start coming at you, and you have to avoid them. And the other hand gets power ups,
Right.
and you can shoot or activate with the power ups. So it's kind of like a bullet hell game, or one of those games where you're looking straight down from the top, and you have the airplane flying along, and the enemies like that, and you can get closer to them, come back down, move, anywhere you want on the plane.
Right.
So it's kind of like that with the right hand, but then you also have the power up grabbing with the left hand. So it's basically one of those games, but
I know.
two different hands. So
once again, I don't see it, but maybe
and
somebody.
with really absurd obstacles and enemies and whatnot.
It does look like yes, absurd but colorful. It does look colorful as well.
So, moving on to upcoming titles, we have Wonderglade coming out on July 9th for $14.99.
Continuing.
This is not a bad title. It's a fairly good title for what it is. I'm personally thinking that if this is just a port, $14.99 might be a little bit overpriced. But what this is, in case you have not heard of it, is it used to be a Daydream exclusive, and then it came to the Gear VR and the Oculus Go, and now it's coming to Quest. It's from Resolution Games, the same people that are making the upcoming Blast On, and the cooking simulator, and the other game that they've got coming out this year also.
Right, they're a machine.
A lot of fingers and a lot of pies going on for Resolution. And this is set up like you're at a carnival or a state fair, and you go and you do mini games. And some of the mini games are based on real mini games. Some of them are completely not real ones, like dancing space hamsters or whatever. And they were fun and enjoyable on the Gear VR, but they didn't hold your attention for long because it's a casual game.
There's nothing special here. Yeah. It's mini games.
A casual game, and if all this is a straight up port, but with 6 stuff added, for me it would be a pass because I've already done it on the Gear VR.
Right. I will say this though, graphically on the Quest, it was one of the better games as far as its graphic capability. It was very colorful. It drew you in.
Graphically on the Quest or graphically
on the Go? On the Go.
Okay.
I'm sorry. It hasn't been on the Quest yet. So on the Go, it was, and on the Daydream, it was a definite pretty game to look at. It grabbed your attention. And if you had only 12 games to choose from, I would say that would be a good one. However, with the curated list we have on the Quest, I can't heartily recommend this unless you're really...
I would recommend this, very definitely. I would recommend this over VR cards.
I think that you win that argument hands down. I think we do have one member of Discord who does like VR cards, but other than that, I don't know of anyone else that actually enjoys. Yeah. I still don't know how that made it to the Quest right away.
I don't know. Anyway, so Wonder Grade, July 9th, 14.99.
Based on
If you have
previous history.
never played it before um, and you think that's a reasonable price, go ahead. If you have played it before, I'd say it's probably a miss because I, I, as far as I know, it's not bringing anything new. It's just bringing what you've already played over. So,
Unless they do something super special to make this really
right,
different, then it's not worth the
right.
14.99.
I
That's
I
for sure.
mean, I like the idea, except that when I first saw it on the UVR, it was a cool idea, and they made it sound real cool with "Welcome to Wonderglade" and all that
Right.
stuff, and and the little tour that the character takes you on. But but then none of the mini games really had any replay value to me.
No, no,
So,
exactly. There was nothing that you had
but
to.
it remains to be seen how well it performs on the Quest. Maybe it'll to take off and be real popular. Who knows?
We'll see if Shooty Skies
You
made it.
know. Let us know if you get it
You
and you like it.
good.
Yeah, not you,
Tell
but
them.
you.
No, no, I understand him,
Yeah,
especially, and
both.
her.
Yeah. So moving on to news. Facebook neural imaging research. That is something that is very interesting and cool. It's been kind of hinted about before, earlier on in the year, but now that was more of a side note uh, on other research. So this is now directly, you know, uh, applying to VR, and basically they've come up with a way that currently is not practical for any VR headset unless you have a $3,000 GPU. Uh, but it takes a low resolution image, like from yeah, a 2000 era cell phone, and it can intelligently, using artificial intelligence, upsample it so that it looks like a high res image, and it's got all the details nice and crisp.
Right. It's a 4 times super sampling. I think they said
Or
that it comes
16
up to
seconds.
16, right?
Yeah,
But it's 4 times 4 in super sampling.
yeah,
So it's four and then a multiplication of four on
right,
top of that.
right,
And it would basically be the same thing that if you have the original Blu-ray players that upsampled from your DVD,
right,
the same type of idea that it would take
right,
a high definition image and make it 4K or add
right,
on,
right,
and it did it by super sampling, basically,
right. Yeah,
initially.
yeah. And right now, this is nowhere near ready to be on any device, let alone to the Quest. But
Doesn't mean a year from
um,
now it won't be there.
yeah, like 1 year from now, it might well have been solved and be able to be miniaturized enough.
I'm sure.
Who knows? So
I'm
things
pretty
can
sure.
move that quickly. So
I mean, it's really weird because I know NVIDIA does have an entire computer on a single chip, so I don't think it would be hard for them to get a graphics processor onto a single chip. The
right,
price, I have no idea. That's
right,
going to be the trick.
right, yeah. But yeah, this is the Upper VR article made a reference to another thing that, or yeah, to Google's natural language sounding
Hmm.
AI.
Right.
Um, Originally, that could only run on a $3,000 GPU and basically a supercomputer, and now it runs natively on this.
Right. Exactly. I
So
have faith in science in that
yeah,
respect. They'll get there.
yeah, yeah. So right now it's not ready to go on the VR headset, but it will be before you know it.
I think so.
Another not so good news. Void VR Downtown Disney has a lease termination notice. So, in case you were living under a rock and didn't know this, there is a Void VR location in downtown Disney, which I think is still not really open itself, but it might be open a little bit. I don't know.
Right, exactly.
You'd know better than me. You're in for it.
I know, but here things change from minute to minute these days.
Yeah.
So-
But there were the photos posted that showed at least termination notice on the door, indicating that it was in default of its lease payment, and we don't know all the details of it right now, but that will be a sad thing if they're not there anymore. I mean, that's one of the attractions of downtown Disney right now is being able to go to the Void VR and do that location-based VR experience games where you got the backpack strapped on and you're going around with your actual buddies and everything's one-to-one mapped, and you see a bar in front of you in VR and you reach out and it's really there in reality, and
Right.
so yeah.
No, the Void was a great idea. The problem is the timing. This.
Well, yeah. I mean,
This has nothing to do with the concept.
Lockdown stuff did not help, and I think even though the Void was branching out and expanding, it still was not quite as successful as it really wanted to be, as it really should have been. Because since VR is still it's taken off, but it's still more on a more gradual curve rather than on the exponential part of it.
Exactly. We're still infancy. Infancy.
So, we'll see. Hopefully, they're able to reach out and make an arrangement and get the lease activated again and then reopen. But all depends on the Void's the finances, I would imagine, and on what they think the prospects will be under the new normal.
Well, I was going to say some manifestation of a VR arcade will manifest at some point.
Yeah.
But you're going to need to have people that are, as it is now, you can't go to a restaurant, much less put on a face mask that somebody else was wearing. So, yeah, right. It's going to have to wait. It just does.
Yeah. Yeah. So, in other minor news, Sandstar now has a mobile app for iOS and Android. You can attend events on your phone and choose from different camera angles and whatnot, and still, I would assume, chat with your friends and whatnot. And I find it very interesting that after Sandstar was acquired by Wookiee, this happened. This is something people have been asking for forever for Second Life. They wanted a mobile interface for it, even if it was just hey, I can see and I can chat, but I can't actually move or whatever,
Right.
And then Labs never provided that, and now Wookiee has. So that shows promise for Wookiee being the owner of it now.
I would say probably, yeah.
So, yeah. Get that expands the user base a lot more. Also, Runlo which is in early access right now. I think it's not a complete release, but it's another Moss-like third-person VR game. I don't know if you have any interaction with the character, but you have interaction with the puzzles in the game.
Right.
So you control her, she does all the talking, and then when you do a puzzle, now you're in first-person view. Anyways, they now support Haptic.
Of all games, they're the ones that support the haptic. Okay.
Yes. I mean, the more games that have haptic vest support, the more the haptic vests are going to benefit and catch on as well. Because this is haptic vest support. Maybe I should look into getting one.
They're going to have to.
It's kind of a chicken and the egg. You can't have the support without the vest, but people aren't necessarily going to buy a vest if their game doesn't support it.
Right, exactly. Once again, when I was doing this with Star Wars, when they first introduced it on the Sega consoles, they did come out with a vest that had the buzz packs, that would hit you when you were getting hit, and you would feel everything. Same thing that they're doing now, except with a cheaper technology,
Right.
And but they packaged it with a game that it was good for. So you knew that it was at least good for that one game.
Right. Right.
So it's like Haptic, if they really want to sell their vests, are really going to have to package it.
Yeah.
For a specific system with the games for that system, because otherwise...
Maybe. Yeah. I mean, that's a good approach with a console game where you can have a game preloaded, or you have a physical disc that comes with the vest or whatever, but the VR title, there is no physical disc.
Right. No, they would have to make it a
little bit more difficult that way, but
Right. No, I understand. I'm just saying that there's got to be a way around that as well, because Haptic is just not supporting enough games to be worth the price.
Support. I'm not sure how much of it is Haptic is not supporting, as how many games are not supporting the Haptic.
Okay.
Because the developer has to see enough potential benefit to incorporate the Haptic API.
Right.
So, and if they don't see enough benefit, they're not going to do it.
It's just chicken and egg type thing. If there aren't enough people with Haptic vests, why bother putting in the API? And if there aren't enough games with the API, why bother picking up the Haptic vest?
Right.
It's really...
Right. So, but it's slowly catching on. It's slowly spreading more and more, and at some point it will reach a critical mass, and you'll see instead of a growth like this, a growth like that. So.
Right. It's going to be a price and development thing. It's going to be ease of use and price. That's always what happens.
Yep. In other news, in Japan, they are really taking social distancing very seriously. Japanese convenience stores this summer will start having remote control VR robots working in the store.
Daleks?
The article here, but they'll have robots that are controlled via remote control VR headsets. There will still be on-site, in-person managers, I believe, but okay. Convenience store chain Family Mart has announced a partnership with Tokyo-based robotics firm Teleexistence. We have heard of them before. They've been, we have mentioned them on a previous episode of the show, I believe. And together, the companies plan to study ways to improve efficiency and reduce operating costs by using Teleexistence's technology to stock Family Mart store shelves with products. So what's especially interesting about the project though is that full automation isn't necessarily the goal. Um, the plan is to use remote control robots operated by human beings using VR terminals at a separate location.
Okay, so they're going to use drones in 7-Eleven.
Yeah, so it's not like it's an autonomous robot that's just dock,
Right.
a vending machine basically. It's going to be a person controlling it. And the test installations are scheduled to start this summer at select locations in Tokyo, with the goal of having robots stocking shelves in 20 branches by 2022, and further expansion after that if they get a positive result from the trial. Even then, the plan isn't to make them all robots, so don't forget the proper manners, the article says. Treat your robot people with respect.
Oh, God. We're back to saying thank you to our PDAs. Right, exactly.
I said that wrong. Arigato. There we go.
Mothra.
Oh, no. Arigato domo robato. It's a robato. You got that slightly wrong too. Oh well. Anyways, moving on. Dreams is coming to PSVR July 22nd.
Yay.
Hopefully, at some point, that might come to Oculus platforms in exchange for Oculus having given them the Vader Immortal stuff.
Yeah, that was
because
big.
That's a one-to-one trade.
I would say it's not quite a one-to-one trade, but yeah, giving up that Vader Immortal, that really surprised me. I have to be honest with you. Sony had to be really exerting pressure there. No two ways about it.
Now, in case, once again, you are living under a rock.
Very nice looking rock, by the way. Peacock ore.
Yeah, yes. In case you are living under a rock, Dreams is an app to basically where you can create games and or just worlds to walk around in. So games and experiences can be made with it. And it's been out on the PlayStation itself for a little while, and evidently people have been making really well done recreations of games such as Mario Kart or Dead Space, etc. with it, and now it's going to be coming to the VR platform of PlayStation on July 22nd, and it's going to have VR kits and assets available for it, so you can easily just assemble a VR game.
Oh, the developers love that. Yeah, that's kind of... It reminds me very much of Spark, when they brought Spark to, I believe it was Windows originally.
Right.
And you were able to create games and experiences, but pancake.
Right. It's kind of like what Rec Room has in it, going back to the very beginning of this episode. You can, within Rec Room in VR, create a game that runs in Rec Room, obviously, using their assets and their code chips and whatnot. And some people have made some amazing things in there. They've recreated at least part of the Bendy and the Ink Machine games. They recreated Dead by Daylight. They recreated the Silent Hill playable trailer. Yeah.
There's a wide variety there, I have to say.
So, I mean, it's, but if Dreams came to the Oculus platform, it would to take off. I think it'd be almost everybody using it.
I was just going to say, it sounds like an ultimate experience.
Yeah.
Participatory, which gives you agency.
Yes. That is the one thing really that makes me wish that I had a PlayStation VR. Yeah.
You will, but wait for the next one.
Yeah. Moving on to our next item of good news. Google acquires North. I forget if we mentioned this already, and I think it's a little bit old. I think the original news came out last week, but I don't know if we just spoke about it. But North is they were doing smart glasses. There's Focal by North, and now Google has acquired them, and that's just one step further to making a Google Glass that might actually be socially acceptable.
I don't know, because I don't know. It seems like they're taking a giant leap backwards. This seems like we're going to coal again. I don't know.
Acquiring North doesn't mean that they're going to have it be as limited as the North were.
Right.
It's just that they acquired them because they got it working in a regular glasses style framework, rather than this weird thing with a thing that's right here that you have to look up at, and monocular, and
It just seems like Apple and Facebook both, along with other companies that we're not really reading about, have so many different patents on so many different variations that they're going to try and attempt this, that none of them are probably going to ever see anything other than prototype.
Right.
Or we're going to have 18 to choose from.
Snapchat, Snap keeps making new versions of their spectacles. The latest version, Spectacles 3, has 2 cameras on it, so you can get a 3D photo or short video.
Right.
So right now there's still not an augmented reality on the lenses. It's just a recording device for use with the app. But they've got their finger on the market also, and are trying to stay viable in the upcoming AR glasses war.
Right. That's what I'm saying, is I'm seeing the AR glasses war being fought without a single prototype hitting the market. It's amazing.
I know. But in yet other news, Five Nights at Freddy's will be cross-buy. Coming out in 2 weeks, I believe. So
I have mixed feelings about that one. What about you?
Not really my kind of. I mean, I know a lot of people like the franchise, and it's a really popular franchise and all that. Me, I don't necessarily like something that just jump scares, and this seems like it's mostly jump scares.
Yeah. That's what I've read too, is mostly jump scares. And
jump scares get old.
Exactly. Way too old, way too quick. So yeah, I'm not. Although I will say this, when they announced that they were going to do it in augmented reality, which one of them, I think, magically before they went bye-bye, had announced that they were bringing Five Nights to augmented reality. That I would probably enjoy, because that would freak me out. Having it happen in my own environment would probably be a more horrifying experience than virtually, I think. No, back. Not getting it. Still not getting it.
Basically, I'm showing you there's a Five Nights Freddy's augmented reality for the phone.
Oh, okay.
It's called Special Delivery.
Cool.
They are delivering animatronics to you that have a glitch where they are invisible, and you have to zap them to make them visible again and not attack you.
Sounds very un-Pokemon like.
I know, right?
Yeah, the stuff of nightmares. Oh, here you go, little Billy. Have a good night.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyways, moving on to our penultimate bit of news.
Ooh.
Joanna Popper on Twitter yesterday, impromptu, offered some one-on-one Zoom consultation calls on getting AR and VR jobs, and then she held between 3:30 and 4 Eastern time, um, a conference call on Zoom where she had a small the panel assembled, and they were just talking and answering questions about that.
Mm-hmm.
So that there's a little bit of uplifting news that there are people out there that are like, hey, we understand that some of you want to break in, but you're having a hard time. We'll, we'll help you figure it out. So
That is an excellent idea. So did they give you a place now to come to, or did they set up a
well,
link?
now I have a job. No.
Right.
No. It, uh, it's mostly just I mean, realistically, the advice that they're going to give is the same advice that anyone's going to give you. You know, be in the right place. You know, be hanging out with right people online and whatnot. Make yourself known in a good way, not an annoying way. You know, all that stuff. So,
Right.
it's fairly standard advice, but it was also a little bit of a networking opportunity. You know, I attended it on my iPad, which meant that I couldn't save the chat. I don't know why. So I don't have a copy of all the links and whatnot that were shared in the chat. But a couple of the people that were in there were already following me on Twitter, and I was already following them. So you know, so but yeah. Well, one of the things they were also pointing out is, remember, a VR industry job does not mean coder. It could also mean artist. It could also mean writer. It could also mean social media manager. You know, all of those tangential jobs are still needed, and it's still in the industry.
Right.
So,
Exactly. Well, yeah, because a game is still entertainment. Everything that goes
right,
into any sort of production is still needed for
right,
VR. So
right. And so if you're not good at coding, but you are good at graphic design, hey, websites need graphic design. Games need graphic design. They need good trailers made. They need good artwork made. You know,
right.
all that stuff is still needed. So, anyways, the ultimate bit of good news is Mozilla has updated the Unity Web XR exporter to plug in, and as a result, you can now make a game in Unity and then export it with the WebXR exporter, and it will run as a WebVR app,
This is
or
great.
a WebXR is it's called now. But
Right.
so um, it used to be that you had to do A-frame and all these other Java script thing that, and which is a little bit more complicated if you are used to using Unity. But now you can just use Unity and then use the Mozilla plugin and just export it and it's ready. So.
Right. I love the way you make it sound like, okay, you just it's really doing a lot.
Well, yeah. I mean, you still have to design the game in Unity, obviously.
Right, exactly.
Not going to do that part for you.
Exactly. You still have to move a bit ahead of that, but just the ability to now be able to disperse the game in that type,
Right.
or even a trailer for it, or things like
Right.
that, it's fantastic.
Unity is really becoming the platform for VR development, I think.
It really has been.
You can export to to iOS and use ARKit. You can export to Google and use AR Core. You can export for the Quest. You can export for Rift. You can export for Steam.
Right.
You can export for OpenVR, and now you can export for WebXR. So you can literally make a game and then change a few things, export it for one, go back, change them a little bit in a different way, export it for another platform, and just have a common shared the code base for the base game.
Right. You take a modular approach.
A couple of things for each export.
Right. The modular approach. It's perfect.
Right.
It really is. And then you can develop for the platforms that show interest, which is
right. Right.
And being to develop for VR in VR is really nice.
Yeah, that would be the ideal, in my opinion. That's not quite here yet.
Well, it's funny because I was watching something the other day about somebody who used the API to go, I believe it was into Unity, to be able to view Blender in VR.
You can. There is a way to view your Blender models in VR right now. Yeah. They are gradually working towards a VR interface for Blender so that you can be in VR and using the full capacity.
Right.
But right now, it's just you can
for viewing.
View your model.
Right, but there's one guy who had a scene set up in the garage, and he went inside the car and was able to look at the people.
Oh, right. He had used Blender and to recreate it, I believe, and then Unity to make the scene.
Right,
and he made it a 1-to-1 match. Right.
And he freaked. I mean, he was just like, oh my God, he never experienced anything like it. So I could imagine making a game like that would be really intense. Right.
And at some point, that will likely be a reality because I forget all the details, but there was a while back, there was all the rage for it. So the guy who was posting short demo videos on Twitter and Reddit of how he was able to map his house into a game and have the game, I think, was automatically adjust to the layout of the house.
Yeah, so, it was amazing. It really was. He turned his house into a VR game. I know.
Yeah. I mean, if you can have T for God, Outer Dead, Spellbound, Spiral, all these other games that take your play space and turn it into a non-Euclidean geometry space and all that, and allow you to just walk around in there ages and ages, and they kind of map that area for you. There's no reason that you can't, except for the size limitation of the Guardian.
Exactly.
But there is no reason that you could not just to make a guardian that encompassed your entire house, and then have a game adapt itself to that guardian.
There would be no reason.
So.
No, I know. I just see the developments that they're making, aside from the, developments that we're enjoying in the game. Some of the behind-the-scene developments that they're making means that VR is going to get really pushed.
Right, and I mean, we now have the Quest able to detect obstacles in the play zone, even if it's not 100% real time, and they're not doing it while you are playing, only when you are initially confirming to the Guardian. But still, the fact that it's able to detect stuff that's not the floor and say, hey, you have something in the Guardian, do you want to get rid of it? That points to, down the road, they'll be able to alert you if your kid walks into your play space.
Absolutely.
And they'll say, look out, you have a kid there, don't hit him.
I think that will happen. Absolutely. Either that or it'll be like the cars automatically. The pass-through will come on.
Right.
And it'll be a safety feature that you'll either engage or not engage in.
Right. And if the other technologies like the super sampling and the other stuff that we've seen before in the past about offloading stuff to a different chip or whatever, freeing up to the GPU to give it like 60% more processing power or whatever. If that stuff gets incorporated, that would free up processing power for stuff like the real-time charging stuff.
Exactly. Right. I just see major improvements coming all the time at this point. And we're seeing them behind the scenes because you and I know, follow the patents and the upgrades that are never, actually instigated.
Right.
But we know where they're headed.
Who knows when it'll hit, but it'll hit at some point.
Right.
I mean, so people at the beginning of the Quest a year ago were going, really? An outdated Snapdragon chip? Why are they using an older Snapdragon chip? Well, because its potential had not been maximized yet. And it still hasn't.
Right.
Even after a year of the Quest.
I know. It's amazing, isn't it? We're a year down the road with different headsets than we want.
Yeah, and that just goes to prove my point that I've always made about these is they come out with new models of these way too early because you haven't maximized anything on there yet. You haven't reached the full potential.
Right.
And now you're coming out with a new phone and new chips and new hardware and I
know. Well, hey, look, at least Apple made the move and now no longer has iOS 10. So, we officially left 10 behind there. And yeah, it's crazy. I agree with you. Phones are strictly a money-making, churn them every year operation. There is no need for a new phone except for one every 4 or 5 years.
The only need for a new phone really is the battery. After so many charges every day, the battery starts to degrade. Right. And that's why I resisted going with a non-replaceable battery for as long as I could.
Same here.
Because you can buy a new battery, put it in there, new phone.
Well, it's that and the operating system. These days, the operating system is changing so rapidly. At one point, it had the same operating system for 4 years. Now we're getting a new one every 3 weeks. It's like
they're getting the patches and updates, yeah. That I don't necessarily mind because how many updates have we gotten scheduled the Quest?
18.
Yeah, that's more than one a month.
I know, but it's been great. It really has. I just wish they'd bring out.
All that does is it's increasing the maximizing of the hardware's potential.
Right.
And if they did that with our phones, hey, I'd be all for that. But instead, what they mostly do is bug fixes and security patches. They
Right.
don't add new features in those. They reserve the new features for the new major version of the OS, which is like every year and a half or 2 years, you know.
Well,
So,
that's the one thing I will give Google. Since I got my Pixel, they've done some phenomenal updates in there
yeah,
that I normally wouldn't see from a
yeah,
regular patch. So,
yeah. And I mean, speaking of the Pixel phones, you know, that uh, optimization of the hardware the, there as well because they have that stabilized video mode.
mhm.
You know, when you are moving this along and you're going like that, it's just a smooth, stable video.
Right. And have you
Like
seen
you have it on a stabilizer set up, you know, so that you go like that and it just stays in one spot.
it is amazing. It really is. And also the other thing that I noticed with these phones, I forgot what I was going to say, but yes, when we were just talking about the optimization, even the photographic quality that they're doing and the updates on that,
Right,
it's, once again, it shows you that the hardware is only, like the lens can't be changed, but still they're doing things with the firmware.
right, right.
So,
So anyways, we are now rambling about non-VR stuff. So
uh-oh,
I think we need to wrap this up and bring it to a close.
let's do
So,
that. Oh, and my recommendation for the week, people, if you have Disney Plus, Hamilton was a lot of fun. Watched it last night. It was good.
and my recommendation for the week is like and subscribe and drag your friends over so they can like and subscribe also.
I like that.
But make sure they are wearing a mask when you drag them over.
Absolutely.
You don't want them passing on the bad breath.
It's a much fresher smelling world, isn't it?
So anyways, with no further ado, bye. Have a great weekend. Have
Ring the
fun.
bell. Bye bye.